Gumball has referenced many things in the show, from real-life events to video games and even memes. But one of the coolest things I think that they routinely reference is anime, and they have done this so many times that I had to make a video going over all of the anime references in Gumball, starting off with our first reference in the episode The Lie. In this episode, Gumball and Anais trick the entirety of Elmore into thinking that there's a new holiday called Sluzzletag. This is because during January, there is absolutely nothing going on, which causes the entire town to be miserable. Gumball and Anais were just brainstorming ideas for new holidays when Darwin walked in and overheard them talking about Sluzzletag. Instead of saying it was just an idea, Gumball told Darwin that it was an actual holiday, and the townsfolk kind of just went with it. The entire town starts preparing for the Sluzzletag celebration, decorating their houses, singing carols, and dressing up in their finest Sluzzletag outfits. But Richard realizes that there's something missing. There's no Sluzzletag food. So Richard uses the power of an average American to create the Sluzzlewurst. And the scene where Richard creates the Sluzzlewurst is a reference to the transformation seen in the anime Sailor Moon. Next, we have the choices. In this episode, after a massive food fight breaks out between Richard and the kids, Nicole has a massive crash out that literally makes her rethink her entire life. She thinks back to the day that she met Richard. She was running late to a karate exam, but the traffic just wouldn't budge, so she got out of the car and ran. The way Nicole was running with her arms behind her back is supposed to be a reference to the Naruto run from, obviously, Naruto. Next, we have the Nemesis. In this episode, Gumball encounters his nemesis Rob, trying his best to take down Gumball, but all of his attempts fail miserably. So Gumball tries to help Rob become a better supervillain by giving him a new name, a new voice, and a new suit. When Rob puts the suit on, there's this badass suit-up scene, which I initially thought was a Power Rangers reference, but according to the Gumball wiki, is actually a reference to Super Sentai, which is basically the Japanese Power Rangers. Super Sentai was actually one of the biggest inspirations for Power Rangers, along with a bunch of other animes such as Sailor Moon, Voltron, and Dragon Ball. Next is the Matchmaker. In this episode, Gumball sees Darwin crying over a picture of whom he thinks is Terry. Gumball gets Carrie's help to make this love potion that makes Terry and Darwin fall head over heels for each other. Carrie is upset though because she has a massive crush on Darwin, and now is just giving her away to Terry. However, Gumball is completely unaware that the person in the photo that Darwin is looking at is actually Carrie. So therefore, this whole matchmaking thing was actually useless, because Carrie already loved Darwin. Before Gumball goes to find Carrie to help her, he looks at the camera and says,
"This kid needs help, badly. And there's only one person who can help him badly enough."
This line, along with the face he makes, is clearly supposed to be an impersonation of Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! Up next, we have the Romantic. In this episode, Gumball leads Penny on a treasure hunt after she sends him only one heart emoji instead of 3. After an entire day of looking for Gumball, Penny ends up in the woods where she encounters a bear. Penny tries to transform into one of her stronger forms, but it doesn't work. However, the animation during her transformation attempt is very similar to the transformation in Sailor Moon. There have been a lot of Sailor Moon references so far, but the references later in this video are only going to keep getting more insane. Next, we have the Rival. In this episode, Anais is just being born, and let's just say she's acting very territorial. Gumball doesn't think she's doing any of the murderous stuff on purpose, but when he sees a baby eagle killing 2 of its siblings on TV, right before seeing a deadly baby shark.
And if you thought all babies were born innocent, check out these baby sharks eating each other before they're even born.
He gets freaked out and makes a face very similar to NL from One Piece. The Nobody is next. And in this episode, Gumball and Darwin try to find the person that's been stealing all of the stuff in their house. They are initially accused of stealing the stuff by their parents, but after they both interrogate each other, they realize that neither of them did it, and there was someone else adults actually living in their house. They looked for secret entrances to a secret room all over the house, until Darwin literally stumbles into a basement that they've never been to. They find out that it's actually Rob who's been living in their house all along, but before they can ask him any questions, he gets scared and runs away. Gumball and Darwin then try to approach him in a more quote-unquote family-friendly way, but they end up just looking like the Titans from Attack on Titan. The shippening is next. Sarah gets a new black notebook where whatever she writes in it comes true, so she decides to use it to make all of the ships that she has made up come to life. The face she makes when she writes furiously in the book is a reference to Light Yagami, the main character of the anime Death Note. The idea of the episode and Sarah's notebook is also a nod to the titular Death Note. The Others is up next, and this episode starts with a long run of Dragon Ball Z references. As in the beginning of the episode, Gumball tries going Super Saiyan by screaming a lot. All of this results in Gumball looking like an absolute maniac in the middle of the school, and for his tail to just sort of extend, which is really gross. But the most surprising thing about this is that Anais actually says Super Saiyan.
Is he still trying to turn into a Super Saiyan? Stop! You're gonna pop something important.
All I have to do is believe in myself.
Meaning that this is probably the most direct reference of all of them. The Pest is next, and in this episode, Gumball finds Anais training to fight a kid at school. Initially, he thinks that she is bullying the kid, but when he finds out that Anais is actually the one being bullied, he actually goes Super Saiyan, white hair and everything. I think it's quite wholesome that in the previous episode, he was trying so hard and failing so spectacularly, but when he hears his sister is in trouble, he can immediately turn Super Saiyan. The Ghouls is up next, and in this episode, we see all of the characters in their Halloween costumes, which is a reference to a bunch of different movies, games, and you've guessed it, anime. Mr. Small is dressed up in Sailor Moon cosplay. Kind of creepy, seeing as all of the characters in Sailor Moon are teenage girls. Banana Joe is dressed up as Pikachu from the Pokemon anime, and Pants Bully is dressed up as Doraemon. The spin-offs is next, and in this episode, we get to see a bunch of different characters lead the show instead of Gumball, with one of them being Larry. In fact, he gets his own cool animated intro sequence. This sequence is actually just the Cowboy Bebop intro sequence, but with Larry doing his jobs. Next, we have the Origins Part 1, and in this episode, we get to see Gumball and Darwin first meet and how they ended up becoming brothers. We see that Darwin initially started out looking like a regular fish, but with a face, and that his bond with Gumball is what helped him evolve into a more humanoid creature. This is very similar to the studio Ghibli film Ponyo, which has the exact plot, but a lot more dark. This is the first instance of an anime movie being referenced, as all of the previous examples have been TV shows. Wicked is next. Gumball and Darwin try to figure out why Mrs. Robinson is so evil in order to help her become more nice. Darwin tries everything, from looking at her childhood to see if there's any trauma, to showing her the beauty of life. However, nothing works, so he has one last plan, which is fake choking on a Kinder Egg, in order for Mrs. Robinson to save him, which would prove that she has a heart. Darwin executes this plan, but Mrs. Robinson does not care. In fact, she throws the toy inside the Kinder Egg into Darwin's mouth, causing him to choke for real and almost die, with Mrs. Robinson just looking over and smiling. Once Darwin realizes that there's no helping Mrs. Robinson, he conducts an elaborate revenge scheme, which doesn't work. However, the forces of nature causes her car to blow up and be backed into another vehicle. This is a reference to modern isekai anime, such as Re:Zero, as they have a lot of gags where people randomly get run over by cars. The One is up next. In this episode, Tobias tries to become Gumball's best friend. He initially just starts hanging around Gumball and Darwin, acting uncomfortably close to both of them. This freaks them out initially, but they think nothing of it. However, this all changes when Tobias literally breaks into their house, stealing from Nicole's wallet and lies on on their couch. This gets him a well-deserved kick through the door and a talking to about how he's not their best friend, so he can't be acting like this. Tobias takes this advice, and instead of just leaving like a normal person, he decides he needs to become Gumball's best friend by killing all of the friends that Gumball likes more than him. The first person he tries to kill is Leslie, and he does this by pulling out a giant sword from a trench coat and trying to dissipate him. This giant sword is a reference to Guts and all of his giant swords from the anime Berserk. The Stink is up next. In this episode, Mr. Small attempts to find the rare cryptid known as the Stink Ape. He searches far and wide for the entire episode. However, he comes up empty-handed until the end of the episode, where he finally sees the Stink Ape, whose steps can literally grow glowing mushrooms. This is a reference to the forest spirits in Princess Mononoke, another Ghibli film who can also do the same thing. The Fury is next, and this is the episode you've probably all been waiting for, because the entire episode is a massive reference to Shonen anime, specifically Dragon Ball. Nicole's old rival Yuki is back in town, and she requests a battle from Nicole. Gumball, Darwin, and Anais think that something crazy is about to go down, but Nicole just leaves and doesn't entertain the idea of a fight. However, Yuki is persistent, making Nicole's life at work miserable, and even her shopping is interrupted by Yuki flirting with Richard? Even Masami, who is Yuki's daughter, tells the kids that Nicole and Yuki used to be best friends and trained together in martial arts. However, their friendship ended once Nicole beat Yuki in a tournament. Now, Yuki is out for revenge and forces Nicole to fight her by putting her job on the line. Firstly, the styles of the kid versions of Nicole and Yuki look very similar to young Goku in Dragon Ball. And during the big ending fight, the kids complain about their tiny legs, which is a signature of character designs of children in the Dragon Ball world. Finally, the big fight between Yuki and Nicole is just a massive Dragon Ball Z fight without any aliens. Those were all of the anime references in the amazing world of Gumball, but we recently just got even more in the wonderfully weird world of Gumball. So let's go through all of those too, starting with the burger. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin are tired of the fast food sludge that they've been served and just want to try and eat healthy. So when Richard walks into the kitchen with Joyful Burger, Darwin has no choice but to kick it away. The animation of the kick is very similar to how characters in the anime FLCL would kick their opponents. The wrinkle is next, and in this episode, the doctors notice that wrinkles are starting to develop on Anais. They deduce that this must be due to stress, and they want her to start taking it easy. However, she can only start taking it easy if the rest of the family starts to improve their lives, so everyone has to try to better themselves, including Darwin, who goes to a dojo and tries to learn to be more assertive and dominant. The ninja with the spiral mask inside of the dojo is actually a reference to a Naruto character, and the one wearing the cat mask is a reference to a Demon Slayer character. Up next, we have the assistant. In this episode, Nicole doesn't feel appreciated for the work that she does around the house until she meets an AI assistant named Ori. They become best friends and grow more and more attached to each other, almost too attached, especially once Ori makes Nicole drive through the mall on a mobility scooter at Mach 10 speeds, which could have seriously hurt her. When she finally stops it, she does the iconic drift from the movie Akira. Initially, I didn't pick up on this, but this video from Cartoon Tales not only showed me this reference, but the two prior ones, so big ups on them. Next, we have The Thing. In this episode, Granny Jojo has to come visit, which makes Nicole very mad. However, she calms herself down because Richard is gonna bring her The Thing, which is gonna help everything. The only problem is, Richard can't remember what The Thing is, and if he has to ask, then Nicole may kill him. So Richard tries to give her a bunch of things, and one of those things was Luffy's hat from One Piece. The traffic is up next. In this episode, Nicole drags the entire family to go see Daisyland because it's closing down soon, and Anais wanted to see it. However, usually due to one of the boys doing something stupid, they've never been able to make it. But despite Nicole's determination, everything just keeps going wrong, and they even get pulled over. Anais tells the family that it's okay, and that she's fine not going to Daisyland. However, the fam is not having it, and generate a purple aura, like they're in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and then go Super Saiyan like they're in Dragon Dragon Ball Z, because nothing will stop them from getting Anais to Daisyland. The boring is next. In this episode, Gumball and Darwin realize that Molly's stories are so boring that they can literally stop time. While using this power, they accidentally step all over Tina's chalk drawing on the ground, causing her to get really mad. She threatens to beat them up, but Gumball and Darwin aren't scared because they can use Molly's time-stopping powers in order to train. One of the training activities they do is touch fingertips and fuse, which is reminiscent of a fusion dance in Dragon Ball Z. Now we have the gourmet. In this episode, Gumball is absolutely enamored by the gourmet mac and cheese that Masami gets to eat for lunch. He asks Nicole why he can't have the mac and cheese, and she says that if he wants the mac and cheese that they have, then he should go live with them, which he obviously does. In the Yoshida house, Yuki trains Gumball to be worthy of the mac and cheese, but just before he's able to try it, Nicole bursts in and they nearly have another Dragon Ball Z fight again, with the animation playing and everything, but Nicole is able to de-escalate the situation. The synthesis is up next. Both Yuki and Nicole try to impress their daughters for Bring Your Mom to School Day. However, they're both deemed cringe by the kids, so they hatch a plan to get on their good side. They fuse together to become Nikoshida, but Masami and Anais still think they're stupid. However, this time they're both cringe and dangerous, so Masami and Anais fuse together to try to stop Nikoshida. If it isn't already obvious, this is another Dragon Ball Z reference. The promposal is next. In this episode, Gumball really, and I mean really, needs Penny to ask him out to prom, but not in any normal way. No, he wants the biggest, most obnoxious promposal ever. When him and Darwin are imagining all the different possibilities of the promposals, the art style changes and rose petals cover the screen. This is a reference to the anime Revolutionary Girl Euthena, where there are multiple scenes of the characters monologuing with flower petals flying behind them. The labels is the final episode we're going to be looking at in this video. And in this episode, Mr. Small has been fired and replaced with a new guidance counselor, who, instead of talking and understanding the students, just gives them labels based on their most dominant personality trait. This approach does not work at all, leading to all of the students conforming to their label and thinking that they can't be anything else. Eventually, Darwin decides enough is enough and decides to confront the guidance counselor, but they aren't strong enough. But then, suddenly, Darwin gets the idea to give Gumball all of the powerful labels and turn him into a strong warrior. When Gumball gets all of the labels, he transforms into this mecha anime cyborg type thing and is able to overthrow the guidance counselor. The scene where Gumball transforms is a nod to Sailor Moon. It's kinda poetic that we started and ended with a Sailor Moon transformation reference, but those are all of the anime references that I could find in Gumball. If I missed any, make sure to let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe. We're trying to hit 1 million subscribers by the end of the year. I know we can do it. And if you're still here, make sure to click the video on screen. I'm sure you'll love it.